David Bailey is Professor of Business Economics at Birmingham Business School in the UK. Hello, David. So Stellantis is setting up deals with Dongfeng and also with Leap Motors. What's in it for all parties?
So from the point of view of Stellantis, they are way behind, like other European firms, Chinese brands. China's been making electric cars for 25 years. They can produce them at much lower cost. They can develop them more quickly, and they have superior battery technology. So European auto brands need Chinese help. If we think about it the other way around, Chinese brands coming into Europe face significant barriers in setting up, in getting their brands recognized. So companies like Peugeot, Citroën, part of the Stellantis group, can help them by saying, right, use some of our spare capacity, and we'll also help you to sell their cars. So it's a kind of marriage of necessity, really. Both sides bring something to the table.
What are the unique requirements of the European car market?
So, you know, a car that's made to sell in, say, North America, where the roads are big and the parking spaces are big, simply isn't going to work in Europe. Europe has had a preference traditionally for smaller cars, given that they're kind of smaller roads which date from before cars were created, smaller parking spaces. So this idea that you can have a kind of global car and sell it in different parts of the world is, I think, starting to become a bit more difficult. So the cars have got to be small, and they've also got to be very good value. One of the big challenges for making an electric car is to get the cost down so that they can become more accessible to European consumers. And the big challenge in particular is being able to make a car that costs less than 25,000 euros.
How much of this is about also avoiding tariffs and meeting that Made in Europe label?
I think that's a big part of it. We've seen the European Union put in place tariffs of up to, when you include the basic 10% tariff, up to 45% on Chinese electric vehicle imports. Remember as well, the US has got 100% tariff. So increasingly, the world is becoming regionalized, and car makers are looking to make cars in the final market, whether that's Europe or potentially the US, in order to avoid tariffs. So leapfrogging tariffs is important. But I also think there's something else going on. The European car industry has got excess capacity. In the case of Stellantis, it only operates at about 50% capacity. And so by producing Chinese cars at those plants, Chinese brands, it buys political acceptance. It not only makes the brands known to people, but European policymakers are going to be happy that European car making production capacity is kept in place.
We know that European car manufacturers have really been struggling at a time of great transition. Could this sort of partnership provide the lifeline to keep them going?
I think it could, if it's managed properly. I mean, at the moment, essentially, the European auto industry faces an existential crisis because they're being outcompeted by the Chinese producers. And so if they can collaborate increasingly with Chinese firms and learn from them in so doing, then there's a potential win-win for both sides. Chinese firms get access, European brands learn how to develop cars much more quickly, improve their technology, and get their costs down. And remember, this is what Chinese car makers did 25 years ago when European brands went to China. They learned from them. Now the tables are turned. The Europeans actually have to catch up. Bringing in the Chinese, I think, is a really important step in that.
Thank you so much. David Bailey, Professor of Business Economics at Birmingham Business School.